Hello, my dear students. Welcome to our grammar session. And our topic for today is direct and indirect objects. Children, you all know that a group of words which makes complete sense is called a sentence. Let us look at the example. Jack and Jill went up the hill. In the sentence, Jack and Jill is the subject, went up the hill is the predicate. Children, in the predicate, we have the verb went. Now, the verb may be transitive or intransitive. What are transitive verbs? Transitive verbs are action verbs that have an object to receive that action. For example, in the first sentence, I bake some cookies. Children, let us go step by step. I is the subject, bake is the verb, and the action of being baked is passed on to the word cookies. So it is a transitive verb. In the second sentence, I ride the bicycle. So again, step by step, I is the subject, ride is the verb, and the action of ride is passed on to the word bicycle. So it is a transitive verb. In the third sentence, I move the chair. So I is the subject, move is the verb, and the action of being moved is passed on to the word chair. So it is a transitive verb. Now let us have a look at intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs are action verbs, but unlike transitive verbs, they do not have an object receiving the action. For example, I laugh. I is the subject, laugh is the verb, but there is no object. So it is an intransitive verb because the action is not getting passed. In the second sentence, I cry. In the sentence here, I is the subject, cry is the verb, but the action is again not getting passed. So it is an intransitive verb. In the third sentence, the book falls. So the book is the subject, falls is the verb, but there is no object receiving that action. So it is an intransitive verb. Children, in short, we can say that transitive verbs need an object and intransitive verbs do not need an object. Let's look into a sentence example. He paints posters. Children, in this sentence, he is the subject, paints is the action verb, and posters is the object. So, a sentence is generally divided into subject, verb, and object. That is direct or indirect object. Direct objects are the nouns, proper nouns, or pronouns that receive the action of the verb in the sentence. Let us have a look at the sentence example. The football player kicked the ball. Children, first we need to find the subject. Whom or what is the sentence about? Well, the sentence is about the football player. So the football player is my subject. He is a person. So it is a noun. Next, we need to find the verb. Do you see a word that shows action? What did the football player do? Kicked. So, the football player kicked. So, kicked is the verb, or you can say the action verb. Next, we need to find the direct object. We need to find the noun, pronoun, or proper noun that receive the action. We need to ask ourselves, the football player kicked what? What did the football player kick? Well, the answer is the football player kicked the ball. So, the ball is the direct object. Children, always remember that direct objects are located after the action verb. It answers the question whom or what received the action of the verb. Children, finding a direct object is usually easy since it often follows the verb in the sentence. But sometimes an indirect object makes things a little tricky. Children, indirect objects are nouns, proper nouns, or pronouns that are not the subjects or direct objects of sentences. They are affected by the verb but not directly. Children, now let us see how to find an indirect object. Pay attention and listen carefully. When a sentence has an indirect object, and not many sentences do, you can always find them in between verb and the indirect objects. Let us look into a sentence example. Tina baked Rahul a cake. Children, in this sentence, Tina is the subject and it is a proper noun as well. Baked is the verb that shows the action Tina performed. And since we are pretty sure that Tina did not bake Rahul, we know that Rahul is not the direct object. Cake is the direct object because it directly received the action of verb baked. So Rahul is the indirect object. Rahul is affected by the action of Tina's baking of the cake, but not directly. Children, you must be thinking, could we practice some more? Sure, we can. Children, we will follow these steps and look for the clues. The waitress brought Mr. Patil some coffee. First, we need to find the subject. Who or what is the sentence about? Well, the sentence is about the waitress. So, waitress is my subject. She is a person. Waitress is a noun. Next, we need to find the verb. Do you see a word that shows action? What did the waitress do? Brought. So, the waitress brought. Brought is the verb. Next, we need to find the direct object. We need to find the proper noun or a pronoun that received the action. We need to ask ourselves, the waitress brought what? What did the waitress bring? Well, since we are pretty sure that the waitress did not bring Mr. Patil, we know that Mr. Patil is not the direct object. Coffee is the direct object because coffee directly received the action of being brought. So, Mr. Patil is the indirect object. Mr. Patil is affected by the action of the bringing of the coffee but not directly. Let us study the next example. The boy threw the dog a ball. Children, first we need to find the subject. Whom or what is the sentence about? Well, the sentence is about the boy. He is my subject. Boy is a person. He is a noun. Next, we need to find the verb. Do you see a word that shows action? What did the boy do? The boy threw. So, the word threw is my verb. Next, we need to find the direct object. We need to find the noun pronoun or proper noun receiving the action. We need to ask ourselves, the boy threw what? What did the boy throw? Well, I'm pretty certain that the boy did not throw the dog. So, the dog is not the direct object. The ball is the direct object because the ball directly received the action of throwing. So, the dog is the indirect object. Children, the dog is affected by the action of throwing but not directly. So, remember, indirect objects are nouns, proper nouns or pronouns that are not the subjects or direct objects of the sentences. They are affected by the verb but not directly. And when a sentence has an indirect object, and not many sentences too, you can always find them in between the verb and the direct object. Children, I hope direct and indirect objects was clear to you. Practice it and do watch the video once again in order to have a better understanding. Thank you and take care of yourself.